Good evening and welcome to the Football Weekly with your host, the Football Gurus, Ali and Mark. All right, Mark?
That was expertly done, Al.
Thank you very much.
That was improvisation there. 3-2. Oh, we're live.
So how are you doing there in Tier 1, Mark?
Tier 1 is, Cornwall is paradise. We all know that. Cornwall is paradise anyway. But we're very fortunate to be in Tier 1, I'm not going to lie. It's all right. The weather's crap, and everything else is all right, yeah. Not bad.
Well, I don't think we ever know the weather to be good in Cornwall in the winter, I've got to say that. So,
it never rains in Cornwall. Nope.
So here we are on episode 8 on a dreary some might say that's been echoed in some of the results this weekend where there was definitely victory for hard work and graft and not an abundance of flair or late winners this week at all. The show is available here on Get Vocal Now and on YouTube and Podbean after as well. So please like and share, tell your friends about it. We're looking for people to phone in and talk about their team. So if you're not coming on tonight and any other week, please feel free to join us. So lots of topics to get on with tonight. In the absence of any guests in the room, I've persuaded Mark to talk about West Ham first.
Well, to be honest with you, and we'll get into this, as I said to you before we came on air, in the green room, if we had a green room. I really enjoyed watching, and I am enjoying watching West Ham. But anyway, carry on. We'll get into that.
So good game on Friday. One that I wasn't that optimistic about because of Leeds' high tempo of play and the fact that we found out on Thursday night that Masuaku had gone in for knee surgery that nobody knew about. So the club had kept it quiet because I think we knew that it would mean going from 5 at the back to 4 at the back. And we've only really started clicking since we've gone to 5 at the back. So a lot of West Ham fans went into panic on Friday morning thinking, well, there's no way we're going to win against Leeds with back 4. But it turned out quite well for us. Creswell did a great job at left back. We brought Ben Rama in, which was his first full start. And we had a good shape to the team. And Leeds had their chances through the game, but we had more. We were very dominant in the midfield, good at pressing, held back when we needed to hold back, but defended really, really well. So it wasn't the Leeds that we've seen in previous weeks. Didn't take our chances as early as we should, and we should have put the game to bed before the 80th minute. We had plenty of chances to do so, but ultimately got the job done. A 2-1 away victory at Ellen Road. I'll take that any day, any season. The ball's been good and even better at home. I think we were helped by the fact I don't think Leeds have got fans in at the moment, so it was one of those. Sometimes going away is like a home game. But really good performance. And some of the guys we've been talking about in previous weeks, Bowen, Rice, Ben Rama, Ogbonna, had really good games. But so did some of the unsung heroes in the team as well. Babwayne had a fantastic game. Souček did the business again. Really good. Box-to-box midfielder, great in the air, scored a good header for us. Mm-hmm. Ogbonna, as I said, I've talked about him in the past, but really good in the air going forward and look good at the back as well. So, exciting time for West Ham too. It was really nice to be playing a game on Friday night, win it, and then go to watch the rest of the Premier League over the weekend, not growing the back. My team's coming up, so I can't take a piss out of anyone. So it's a good feeling. And as the weekend's transpired, most of the other results went our way. So we finished in 6th. It was only Southampton winning today that pushed us down. Mm-hmm. Really, really happy with where we are at the moment. We'll see how we do against Palace on Wednesday, I suppose.
It was an absolute joy to watch, and I've said this to you on Twitter and wherever else. You're a young player, you're a young attacking player. I'm fairly sure you've got a potential superstar in Bowen. Is that Bowden? Bowen. Is that his name?
Yeah, Jared Bowen.
He just wants the ball. He drops a good shoulder, and he just glides along the pitch. It never looks like he's sprinting. Makes it effortless. He takes people on. He picks the right pass. And now that Berardinho, is that his name?
Ben Rama.
Benrahma, not Berardinho.
Berardinho.
Oh, wow. Wow, there's a quick question. He was trying to hit the ball a little bit too hard when he got into that decisive moment, but it's a joy to watch the pair of them. I mean, once he settles down and starts linking up with Bowen even more, fantastic. The pair of them. Haller, however, could have had 8 without even breaking a sweat. Honestly, mate. But the flip side of that is at least your strikers getting into positions to finish it. But anyway, that's my rant about Bobby Firmino. That took 5 minutes and 32 seconds. Haller he kept getting into the right positions.
Yeah.
He wasn't hiding. He wasn't, I'll just hide on the edge of the box here like some strikers. Anyway, he wasn't hiding. He was still getting into positions. He even tried a bicycle kick at one point, which was brilliant, by the way, but it was a great save, as you saw.
Yeah.
But your 2 young players, I think if they had a bit more of a informed striker inside them, like Antonio or someone else who had a bit more momentum behind him, a bit more form behind him, I think they're going to cause a lot of teams an awful lot of problems.
And they got a lot of stick during the game from West Ham fans. A lot. I mean, so much stick for people to say, he's worthless. The last Haller, yeah.
Haller, sorry. Haller. I see. Be honest, how many West Ham fans call him Haller? And how many West Ham fans actually go Haller?
Haller. I think we were taught quite early on podcasts, etc., how to say his name properly. We're a cultured lot at West Ham.
Haller, wouldn't it? Haller. We wouldn't have an H. Wouldn't have an H.
We got Haller. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think his first touch was pretty poor on Friday night, and the couple of chances, clear-cut chances he could have scored. To be fair, they were well defended. So I thought it was all right. He's such a different type of attacker to Antonio, though, and I think Moyes really wants to buy Josh King in the transfer window, and that's kind of player that if Antonio is out and Josh King comes in, he's big and hard and pacey, good in the air, and he's kind of a like-for-like. I don't think he's as good as Antonio, but he's a like-for-like replacement for Antonio. So that's probably the way we'll go there, and then we'll have 3 strikers. I think our problem at the moment really is beyond kind of under 23s that aren't making it into the first team squad. We haven't really got much attacking choice at the moment. We do have Yarmolenko, but he'd been injured. He'd been off COVID, and he's back, but he hasn't got any pace at all. So you've got to play a certain way for him. Yarmolenko's really slow.
The guy who has strong left foot.
Yeah, the Ukrainian guy.
I seem to remember him being quite mobile when we went to that Wolves game that day. He looked all right that day.
No, he's not. He's not fast, Yarmolenko.
Oh no, I wasn't saying he's fast.
He's good. He's good on his feet. Yeah. He's good at controlling, turning. Got some skills. Great at one-on-ones. Doesn't really miss those. But he needs that extra yards. He's not going to outrun someone. I mean, yeah, he can be a bit hit and miss. But and also his natural position isn't striker. It's just a role that he can play. So if you're looking at buying, if you're looking at how many, if you presume that most Premier League teams need kind of 3 or 4 strikers, we've really got 2 at the moment. And Antonio,
you can have him. You can have Divock Origi. You can literally have him.
It's really fine, but having seen that header he did in the 92nd minute today, you can keep Origi.
Oh, the one with the corner flag? Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, that was great.
That was really good.
A couple of facts I think you'll like about Jarrod Bowen, because I know you're becoming a fan of his quite rapidly.
I am a fan of his. I think there's no reason why he should be in the next England squad. So I know that's a big shout.
I agree. I see all his attributes. Even if he's not starting, he's when we talk about something dangerous to come off the bench, Bowen is that. A couple of facts about him. I think there's been 3 or 4 weeks he's been recorded the fastest sprinter in the Premier League. So you wouldn't think it to look at him. Well, we know he's fast, but you don't think he's that fast. And he is one of those because he's got a low centre of gravity. You don't see quite how fast he's travelling. I mean,
he does that. What's impressive, Ali, is he does that with the ball as well. He's very quick with the ball.
Yeah. Well, that gets me on to my second point. So during lockdown, the way that Jarrod Bowen stayed fit, he grew up on a farm. His parents are farmers. And during lockdown, he said he'd have like the the rope around his waist with a big tractor tyre behind him on the field and just run up and down.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
It's like a Rocky montage, isn't it? Watching it, imagining Jared Bowen go back and forth.
That's what you want to hear from a young player. That's the kind of thing that you want, that attitude from a young player. That proves he's got. His mum and dad being a farmer, I bet they didn't let him get too big for his boots. I bet they don't let him think he's made it already. I bet they're pushing him. I bet they're a bit of tough love, really. I bet they're, it was all right, kind of tough love. And I've just got, how old is he?
I think he's 23, 24. He's fairly young still. He's 2 or 3 years from his peak, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to, if he carries on, he's got a great, give him his due. He's got a good manager in Moyes, as he's proven. Moyes, by A, he's just given him a chance, and B, he's got the man management ability, Moyes, to make these young players want the ball, want to take the game by a scruff of the neck, want to take people on, as he did the other night. And I think you couldn't have a better manager than where he is now, personally. But
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, when we signed him, the whole fans were saying, you've got an absolute gem here. He's carried us all season, and we don't know what we're going to do when he's gone. I don't really look at the results after he left.
But where did he come from, mate? Sorry, where did he come from?
Hull City.
Hull City?
Yeah. And
that Robinson country.
Well, there you go. They turn out some talent, don't they? I mean, they do. Quite talent.
Give them their due. They do, yeah.
So he's done all right for us. He was the big fish in a small pond and come to West Ham, and he didn't start for a few games. And then someone got injured and he got dropped in, and then Moyes couldn't leave him out after that because he's just been excellent ever since. And even when he's had a few games this season where he's not played that well, but his work rate makes up for it. So if he's not dazzling going forward, then you at least want him to track back and try and win the ball back and tackle hard and all of that. But bearing in mind, he was in that position last year, a bit of a flair player, but wouldn't, the biggest criticism doesn't track back, doesn't tackle enough, no heart, all of that stuff. And Bowen is the opposite of that.
I think striker is somewhere where, apart from Antonio, Allier reminds me of Joe Linton. Reminds me a great deal of Joe Linton at Newcastle. He seems to have all the tools you'd want in a Premiership number 9. Literally big, strong, but they're just both completely out of form.
Oh, you jinxed it though, didn't you, by saying that about Joe Linton? And then he scored a good goal yesterday. So
I know. It was the last game. I said he is absolute drivel, and then he turned into prime Ronaldo and had a goal and assist in the last 2 minutes of the game, and he had an assist yesterday. Yeah. But the difference Newcastle made is they put Callum. He's now playing up front together with Callum Wilson. Yeah. So maybe that was the answer. Maybe, and I love Callum Wilson. I think he's a fantastic. What I'd give for a striker like him in the box, running in behind, getting into positions strikers should occupy, unlike some strikers. Anyway, carry on now.
So Benrahma debut. West Ham fans like two things we like, really. We like every player to give 110%. What football fan doesn't? You want to see your players track back when they lose the ball and work hard, no matter how gifted they are, and all that. That's really important to West Ham fans, that bit of grit. But we like to see a bit of flair as well. There's an old tradition. The West Ham way is playing the ball, along the ground, neat and tidy, skills, showing off all of that, a bit of showmanship. And we haven't really had anyone that does that since Payet. We love Payet until the end. Most West Ham fans look back at that little era fondly now. Enough wars passed under the bridge that we can enjoy his magic moments again. There were little glimpses of that on Friday. Some of Benrahma, some of the way that he flicked turn players. Create space, a few megs that were just taking the mickey out.
I would also counter that with saying he was trying to be a bit too Payet-y with his finishes. Don't get me wrong, they were good efforts, but I still think he was snatching at them a little bit too much, thinking this has got to go in the top bin, this has got to be immaculate, this has got to be... Instead of just relaxing and putting his foot through the ball, making sure he actually did what he wanted, he was like, right, this is... It was too... wound up because he hadn't been in the team for a while, has he? He's probably thinking, right, I'll show Moyes. And instead of just relaxing and getting into his game, he's kind of, I think he's snatching at these chances at the moment. It'll only take one in to go off his backside and he'll be off and running. Or one bit going off the post or something like that. He'll be absolutely fine.
That was his full Premier League debut. So
Exactly.
He played very well over the course of the game. There was a major reboot that resulted in Leeds nearly scoring or anything like that. So overall, very very happy. What we weren't happy with, and you know what's coming down, was Fabianski's retaken penalty. I mean, what was that about? That's just ridiculous.
Now, I know there are rules in football. I know there are rules in football, but Fabianski was about a millimetre off the line, if that. I even think Sky paused it at the wrong point. I actually think his back stud was actually on the line when the ball was kicked. It was a nonsense decision, as I said to you at the time.
You couldn't tell. We didn't gain an advantage from it. And then you saw when the next one was retaken, he was scared to move. He was literally scared to move because, like, the minute I move, the natural movement takes your foot off the line. And so he had to wait for the ball to be kicked, and then it was in. He went the right way.
Yeah, I do agree with the rule. I think, but I mean, if you're really anal about it, it was the right decision because maybe, just maybe, he was a couple of millimeters off the line. But come on! I mean, you'll never get a missed penalty. Every penalty will be scored if you make the keeper completely just like scared to move.
Yeah.
But
my only question would be if it was a clear? If it was a millimetre, was it a clear and obvious refereeing decision, a mistake by the referee to play continue? Because VAR stepped in.
Well, it's not. It's because that's what the referee doesn't have to miss it for VAR to pick that particular offence up. That's what VAR checks, regardless of what mind you, the linesman's right there, isn't he?
Yeah,
the linesman there. Yeah, the linesman moved
about one side of the goal, don't they?
Yeah, the line. Yeah, so I don't know what the linesman was looking at. He obviously didn't pick it up, so it must have been extremely close. But you could argue VAR got that one right in the rules of the game. But us football purists will be like, great save, get on with the game.
I didn't see an angle, but it's only one angle, isn't there? I didn't see a shot that convinced me one way or the other that it was off the line or not. It just looked bloody close to me, and for me, if it was close enough that it could have been on, then for the sake of a penalty taken in real time, I just thought that one was a little bit too anal. And I just thought, right, well, it's happened. Get on with the game now.
I'm actually going to speak up for the referees now. Is the problem they've got to be anal. They've got to be seen to be sticking to the rules, because otherwise they'll be being accused of not sticking to the rules. So they've got to be as anal as possible with the rules. Yeah. But where they mess each other up is when they give Patrick Bamford offside for pointing for the ball. I
do not remember the incident.
The worst footballing decision I think I've ever seen is someone pointing where they want the ball being called offside by their hand.
Yeah, I think it must be because you talk about it every week, Mark.
Well, I'm outraged. But I will say this week, I would say VAR had a pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm willing to admit that Fabinho should have been a penalty. He kicked his foot first, and our penalty wasn't actually a penalty, I don't think. But apart from that, they brought the game back for offsides where they should have done. For me, I think VAR had a pretty good week this week. I do.
I think in most of the games, it was the derby, the Man City United derby yesterday. It got one right there, didn't it? There was one there that I can't remember what it was now, where it got brought back. What was it?
Yes, that's right. It was Sterling, was it? I can't remember who it was. I can't. I think there was an offside, and it was a goal, but it was given offside or something like that. By the way, there's a subject for us to talk about later. Absolute wet blanket of hype matches. When matches are hyped up, and it turns out to be an absolute wet blanket.
Well, we've got Manchester Derby as one of our talking points, so that will
That's
be.
What I'm talking about.
We use that as a springboard to hyped games. Because it happens quite a lot, doesn't it? The Chelsea Spurs was the same last week, wasn't it?
So as a West Ham fan now, what is now? I don't want any of this sitting on the fence bollocks or little West Ham, even bigger bollocks. I want now. You're where are you in the league?
Sixth.
The sixth in the league. All right. There's only 7 points covering the top half of the table.
Yeah.
Oh, what a miss by Arsenal. Come on, wrap this season by the scruff of the neck. Why not you guys? Why can't you finish in top 4? Why can't you? Give me a reason why. Give me a reason why you can't. In this crazy season where Southampton are third and looking like staying there, they're winning game. Why can't West Ham finish in top 4?
Wow. How many strikers?
That's what January's for. You can have Divock Origi. I told you that.
Oh, thanks very much. Thanks very much. But, the whole thing is about consistency over season, isn't it? So I guess to give you the reason why we wouldn't finish in the top 4, I'd have to give you a list of our potential frailties. So fairly small squad size, lack of attackers at the moment. We should address that in the transfer window. I think we'll buy another attacker. I think running through our unit, we're all right in goal. If Fabianski gets injured, we've got an able number 2 in Darren Randolph. We've got 4 centre backs who are all fit, so that's good. And we've got 2 right backs, 2 left backs. So really, we're all right in defence at the moment. I think there was talk.
Would you agree? Would you agree with West Ham bidding off the domestic cup competitions with such an unpredictable Premier League season?
No.
You have no European football to worry about. Just literally focus on it. No.
I mean we've already binned off the Carling Cup. I think we're already out of that one.
You want to have a good go at the FA Cup? Why not?
Yeah. I think that the fans would love us too. And I think Moyes, kind of manager that's always going to want to go for the FA Cup. Sees it as a chance. So who will go for that? Our single biggest risk for the season, I think, is losing Declan Rice to Chelsea in the transfer window.
They don't need him. Chelsea do not need Declan Rice.
No. Well, whether they do or whether they don't, I think Lampard wants Declan Rice. And that could...
Well, hang on a minute. If I was Declan Rice and I was looking at N'Golo Kante, I'd be thinking, where am I going to play?
I think at the point that Chelsea bid for Declan Rice, they'll be giving him the "you'll be the captain of this club" type of speech. He's 21 and he's captain of West Ham. So, there's no doubt about the way his career is going. And we're just kind of praying that he'll stay for the rest of the season. And
he's in the same situation as Jack Grealish. You're the captain. You're starting every week. You're developing your career. You're playing every single week. Why would he move?
I think both of those players, if they go, whichever club they go to, they're going to start every week. They're both good enough to start every week at any team.
I'd have Rice.
Grealish should go to Bayern Munich and still start every week.
You got Wijnaldum leaving Liverpool soon. They'll be on the lookout for someone like Calvin Phillips, or I like Calvin Phillips. I think he's a Klopp kind of player.
Yeah,
maybe Declan Rice. You just never know. Maybe Declan Rice is in Klopp's thoughts. I know they won't be particularly big, fashionable names, but I really rate both players. They would give everything for the shirt. They're 2 captains for a start.
This is a bit of a running joke with West Ham on Twitter, with West Ham fans. Every time we go to play another team that's not top 4, or sometimes it is top 4, the other team's fans on Twitter always start doing our holding midfielder is better than Declan Rice. Declan Rice is a fraud. He's overrated. This, that, the other. So we had it from all the Leeds fans on Friday during the day about how Phillips was going to own Declan Rice. I mean, of course, it didn't happen. It didn't happen with Longstaff and Blake Newcastle. It generally doesn't because often it's comparing a CDM to a CDM, so they don't really meet or clash that much anyway. But also because even when West Ham played badly, Declan Rice generally plays exceptionally well. He's a cut above, and so he does our classes of the people on the pitch. So yeah, we just laugh. Like, yeah, people can say he's not good at England. We don't care. He's still getting picked by Gareth Southgate, isn't he? People can say he's not the best holding midfielder, the best young English holding midfielder. It doesn't matter what he's doing the job for us. Yeah,
What's the next subject now?
Say what they like. Well, on the week that everyone's been talking about Brexit, I think Man United took leaving Europe a bit too seriously, didn't they? And
you've been waiting to use that since Wednesday night, haven't you?
Off stage trotting. And what a joy that was! I think I immediately put my Facebook status at full time to. I'm not saying that I was. I mean, I always want English teams to win in Europe, always. But after that great United robbery of last weekend against West Ham, I wasn't really bothered because they got knocked out. So I took great joy in putting my Facebook status at full time as a Bruno Fernandes quote saying, "I've always wanted to come to Manchester and play the Europa League." Bruno Fernandes, 2020.
What I don't understand, right, is how can they start that game? And I watched the game, fully expecting them to. I thought they would. It's such a huge game. I thought they would, but that was as bad as I have seen them. Delightfully, as bad as I've seen them in a very, very. Oh, hang on! Xhaka just choke slammed a Burnley player to the floor here. This could be a red. Literally chokeslammed him. Grabbed him by the throat, standing down. Let's have a look. What's happening here? No, we're having a chat. Looking for Xhaka. They were as bad as I've seen. Oh, he's off.
Good.
Xhaka is off. Yeah, chokeslammed him to the ground. And Manchester United there was just no urgency. There was no fight. There was no like that first half an hour, big European game. You just think, right, at it. You can imagine Klopp going around the changing room, can't you? Drilling it in. I do not after today, but for a big European night like that, you can imagine a Klopp, a Mourinho, all these great managers. Ferguson would not have let that happen.
Do you think because they destroyed them so much on the away leg that they thought, playing them at home, they've got no chance against us. They're top of the Bundesliga.
There's no way that those Manchester United players were too cocky and too arrogant. I just think they were crap.
Psychologically, though, Mike, you've gone to their ground, beat them 5-0, 5-1 or something.
Yeah.
And then you're playing them at the end. You're starting with your big guns on the field with your what's his face, Fernandes and Rashford. They're starting. So they start that game thinking they're going to win the game. They go 1-0 down. They probably still think they're going to win the game at that point, don't they? Because they think they're a better team than Leipzig. We thrashed them a few weeks ago. We're going to beat them again. And then, but for anyone else watching, I'm just like, I said it to you last week, didn't I? I was like, they're going to get knocked out now because Leipzig will beat them because they were hungry. They wanted to win. United didn't want to win until 20 minutes. They seem to think that every time they go 2-0 down, they're going to win, or 1-0 down, they're going to win.
Why is Luke Shaw in the biggest game? Why is Luke Shaw playing as a centre back for Manchester United in the do or die Champions League when Eric Bailly Eric Bailly, or whatever he's called. He's not the most technical.
It's pronounced Bailly.
Eric Bailly, right, must be sitting on that bench going, they are playing a left back at centre back in our biggest game of the season. And for all, he may not be the technical gifted defender in the world, but Eric Bailly, for me, that was a game with his name on it. He's committed. He's all or nothing. He could just sit and Maguire could go play a bit, but the decision to play Luke Shaw, the more I say it, the more stupid it sounds, in a back three was just the most ridiculous decision, and it shows just maybe why United might not win anything tremendous under Solskjaer. Sometimes you've got to go back to basics. You've just got to pick 3 centre backs. Bang.
Yeah.
Just don't. These are top of the Bundesliga. They're not Mickey Mouse. They're not. And they still have stronger players on the bench to come on. They had a Pacific game plan. They did. When I saw the team, I was like, hang on, we've got a striker on the pitch here. And maybe Ollie saw that. And maybe thought, maybe we could get away with playing Luke Shaw as a mobile centre back. But did that backfire or what? On the flip side, and Wan Bissaka was one of the best defensive performances from a right back I've seen for a long time.
It's tremendous, wasn't it? It was actually really good going forward, which is something he could get a lot of criticism for. There were a couple of performances I thought in the game.
In the City game as well, absolutely. We'll get into that, but absolutely. Sorry, I'm thinking the City game. It was amazing. Sorry, yeah.
It was good the other night as well, and I'd say, probably the best United player on the pitch that night. And yeah, he was very good yesterday as well. For all the stick we give him, Paul Pogba, and I know United crashed out of Europe and came on as a sub and didn't change the game. But playing all right again, isn't he? All of a sudden, now it's all this stuff's happened with his agent and he's leaving. And it's one of the. This brings us on to the next topic anyway about drab derbies. But it was all right for United yesterday, wasn't he?
I mean, it's Pogba comes on, and do you know what? I don't hate on him. I just wish he would show his obvious ability, and he did when he come on. I thought he was outstanding when he came on against Leipzig. Should it have been a goal? I think Harry Maguire probably actually punched that in off Pogba's head.
Yeah,
but that was a hell of a leap. He got there. He was determined. No one else was winning the ball, and he did he put a cross in as well that was it was almost an own goal when it hit the defender and hit the keeper.
Right. Yeah.
It was just a very, very strange performance. And we talk about man management, and I think that was a big mark against Solskjaer as a manager that his team played like that for the first half an hour. But they did show fight in the last. I thought they were going to get a third. I thought they were going to equalise. But did it mess up their Premiership season? I don't know. It depends how the fixtures are allocated. But I don't think they can win the Europa League. I think Spurs are going to win the Europa League, or Inter Milan, or someone like that. But it was lovely to watch from a Liverpool fan's point of view. But from a United fan's point of view, it must have been absolute. That first half an hour, or even not even that, was it? They were 3-0 down.
Yeah.
It must have been absolutely unbelievable. I mean, what do you think of what do you think about how they started that game? They just weren't.
It was. I say it was dreadful. Leipzig, because you can't ignore the fact there's another team there. Leipzig were absolutely brilliant, and they were the kind of. Whenever you see Red Bull attached to a team, and see how they played and how Salzburg have played in the last couple of seasons, it's kind of that's kind of how I expected them to play last time against United. And so I thought they started with pace and intensity in a way that they clearly know that United haven't been starting games well. And that's the thing for United. I think it was more of the same of how the last few weeks have been, just with an expectation of, well, we might be starting slowly, but we'll recover the game because we've got enough either on the bench or we've just got.
We'll get a penalty. We'll get a penalty.
Luck will save the day.
We have had 36 penalties since the start of last season. 36. That's almost one a game.
I think you sent me that stat this week, and I asked a question about how many of them weren't actually fouls. How many of them shouldn't have been penalties? Because that's the stat, really, isn't it? Because if they've got a penalty because someone's taken them out, then that may have been a goal had they not been taken out. So we can't really count that as. It's the ones that shouldn't have been penalties that.
Bruno Fernandes stamping on someone's ankle. Do you remember that? He actually stepped on a defender's foot and got a penalty for it.
Well, you mentioned it most weeks, so yeah.
Adam Bamford is the worst decision. Oh, I mentioned it again. I'm not even a Leeds fan, but I do love Leeds as a club. But bottom line is, it was a missed opportunity for Manchester United. It was a massive missed opportunity. They always tell it. They love to tell everyone they're the biggest club in the world when they're a zillion light years from being the biggest club in the world. And it was a missed opportunity for them. Huge missed opportunity for that group of players to go, no, we play for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We're committed to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Yeah. And he must have been standing on the sideline going, what the fuck is going on here, dog?
They should never be in that. They should never be in that position, should they? They were ready to go through 3 games ago and didn't perform.
I didn't watch the game. I didn't watch that game in Turkey, but I saw, these screenshots people put up on Twitter of defenders being. But when I actually watched the highlights and discovered that these screenshots were actually accurate of Demba Ba being left on the halfway line, completely unmarked. There was no one near him, and he just ran through and scored. And then the second goal they scored, everyone just rushed like an under 5s game.
Yeah.
No one stayed in that post. They all rushed towards the ball, and he just smashed the ball in. That's what it was. Just that. Well, you could argue they were worse in that game than Leipzig, but the reason I don't think they have got a chance to Premier League title is that they're so inconsistent. If they can sort their consistency out, they've got as good a chance of anyone to win the Premier League this year. But because now they've probably got the Thursday-Sunday combo, I'm not sure they can win the Premier League now, but we'll see. If they sort their consistency out, they can. They really can. Unfortunately, they're only, 3 points off the top? 4 points off the top?
Well, pleasingly, United and City both finished the weekend below West Ham United.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I'll do the brackets. Derby. This Manchester derby. There's so much right on it.
Snooze fest. I'm going to quote your Twitter from beforehand. Not exactly, because I haven't got it open. But I completely agreed with you beforehand. What a classic this is going to be. What a time for these two teams playing each other. Can't wait. It's going to be a goal fest. We all thought the same, didn't we? This is going to be really good. This is not going to be boring.
No, it's not.
But it was terrible.
I saw the two attacking lineups, and I saw the 2 defences. It was a bit creaky. I thought, here we go. Both teams go for it. It's a chance for them to make a statement, grab their season by the scruff of the neck. I was actually, from a neutral's point of view, hoping they'd obviously beat each other up and whatnot, and red cards and whatever else.
Yeah,
and in the final whistle, Ali, not only did the managers hug, this is a Manchester derby. Harry Maguire and John Stones embraced in the centre circle at full time. Yeah. And I'm like, that's like seeing Roy Keane and Graham Souness have a cuddle after Liverpool against Man United.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a Manchester. There wasn't a tackle made in anger. There wasn't a challenge made in anger. Fred looked like Pele. That's how bad City were. I thought Fred had an outstanding game. He was doing Cruyff turns. Casper will be chuffed. The greatest midfielder that ever played the game. And brilliant.
He's probably the best player on the park yesterday, Fred. Especially in the first half. He didn't put a foot wrong. He was controlling the tempo. But it's because
Gary Neville said it. Manchester United have just gone out of Europe. Terrible performance. Manchester City should have been like, lovely, let's get into these.
Yeah.
As the game went on and on and on, instead of trying to win the game more and more and more, City actually sat back more and more and more and more. Like they were saying, I don't know what, we'll take the point. Absolutely so unlike Pep-like that City just went into their shell.
You say that, but City are not having a good season, are they? So we're still saying it week in, week out. We're waiting for the amazing Man City that scores 5 goals every game to turn up. And invariably, on more weeks than not, that's not happening. They're keeping the ball, they're passing it around, but they're lacking a clinical cutting edge that they had previous season.
I think teams don't forget, everyone's got this state-of-the-art analytics now. Teams have worked us out. Teams have worked Liverpool out to a certain extent. They've certainly worked City out. This 4-3-3 teams seem to be putting 5 at the back or 3 at the back without the ball, 5 at the back without the ball. And City need to find a plan. He'll never do it because Guardiola's is such belief in his own ability. But to a certain extent, Klopp maybe needs to. He might need a plan B. The teams learn very quickly how to shut teams down. And Manchester City and Liverpool are finding that out this season. Simple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. You've only got to see one or two teams do it, and I think you see different ways of unpicking the big boys. So the 5-3-2 is one of, or 5-4-1 is one of those methods, packing everyone behind the ball. So making sure there is no lines to run by, not allowing the high press. But then there are other teams kind of passing as well. You know, I think Villa are one of those teams that they're not scared to put that pressure on.
Arsenal have done it again. I think they're about to get another bloke sent off here.
Is it 0-0 still?
And it's another choke slam.
Is it 0-0?
The hairy Moroccan bloke. Oh, he's got a yellow. But it must be a penalty then. No? What is it? Hang on. Right, okay, Al. Okay, hear me out here. There's a free kick coming in, and Mohamed El Neni has pushed the bloke in the face.
Yeah.
He's stopped play to look at it. Oh, it's just scored now anyway. Burnley have just scored, so it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But why has that not been given as if it's a free kick, right? If they've booked a person for when the ball's coming in, he's pushed. Why is that not a penalty?
I don't know. It's hard to visualise without seeing it.
Oh, well, he hasn't given a free kick or anything, so.
There you go. Go on, Burnley. So I'm not sure if your speaker's working, but I've asked you 4 times what the score is. 1-0.
1-0. Burnley just scored. 1-0.
Yeah.
Burnley just scored 1-0. Yeah.
Excellent. It's currently 3-0 to Leicester still. Just so.
A banger-wagon goal.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. They were saying they wanted to start scoring some goals, weren't they? And there you go. He scored. So it brings. I mean, you know, so the Manchester derby was dull, and sometimes hyped-up games of football are that way inclined, aren't they? You know, you expect a goal fest. You used to see it quite a lot with after the glory years of Arsenal, Man U. You'd still expect that to be a big game, and it ended 0-0. We had Spurs against Chelsea last week. It was a bit dull, and then United City game yesterday. Dull as. Don't get that so much with Liverpool 11. Yeah, some derby games you're just always gonna get the excitement and loads of goals, aren't you? The Glasgow derby, the Liverpool derby, they're never drab affairs.
I just thought it was a very odd game. Like the Manchester derby was, especially at the final whistle when they were all hugging and doing all this, talking to each other with their hands over them. Yeah. It's like, do that down. Fans don't want, after such a crap game. It could have been a classic. They decided to actually play some football during the game. You don't do that in a centre circle for everyone to see after you've barely put a glove on each other. You get down, like Graham Souness said, you get off the pitch. You do that in a changing room. It was embarrassing. If Liverpool and Everton players did that, I'd be like, "What are you doing? Like, you've not put a mitten on each other. You've not put in a tackle. You've not done anything all game remotely aggressive to win this Manchester derby, and now you're cuddling in the centre circle."
I mean, during the game, it was almost like they were taking their Tier 3 status a bit too seriously, wasn't it? They were that scared of touching each other. It was a bit like old Italian football, which is why Fred looked so good, because he wasn't getting pressurised enough. So he had space. Fred's one of those players. You give him a bit of space, it'll show you what he can do, and he did yesterday.
I think fatigue has a lot to do with it as well. I do think fatigue is having a little bit of effect on these so-called bigger games. That was close. But I could not believe what I saw at the end of that game. Cuddling and hugging, and it's a Manchester derby. It's the biggest game of the season for those two.
Interesting what you said about the fatigue thing, though. So on the the Liverpool game today, the commentator was saying that Liverpool have played, how many games was it they played this season? 22? I think it's 22 games this season, up against an opposition that have played 12. And you're like, well, yeah, there is a massive difference there in.
And that is why, Ali, that is why I'm telling you. That is why I'm telling you. Why can't Southampton or West Ham shock the world?
Oh, maybe. So our next topic, Southampton. It's like you're psychic, Mark. Yeah.
Yes, I am. We've established this.
Guess what we're going to talk about next? It's Southampton. So Southampton are
not
third in the league, almost a year to the day since they lost 9-0. Was it 9-0 to Leicester?
I'm gonna message Richard now and say, "You sure you don't want to come on? We're talking about Southampton here."
So what a turnaround from, I think I said earlier in the season, the turnaround in fortunes is reminiscent of Leicester, isn't it? When they nearly got relegated and then they won the league the following season. And you look at that rise of Southampton that's looking pretty similar at the moment, where every week you think, it might be this week they drop the points and they win again. But I don't think anyone really wants to play Southampton at the moment, do they? Because they've got goals from all over the place, solid at the back, great on the counter, great at keeping possession, fast, physical. Everything really, haven't they?
Another young striker from the lower leagues, Che Adams, starting to bang them in every week now as well.
Sure, yeah. Ings is back. And obviously he was gone for a few weeks. They carried on scoring goals while he was off. And now Talisman returns, and he'll be up there for the Golden Boot this year, probably, won't he? Because when he's on the pitch, he tends to score.
Do you know what? Probably one of Klopp's very rare mistake was just not him staying another season. The absolute dream of a number 9, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just a phenomenal. And this young lad Adams couldn't have a better role model. Could not have a better role model to look at than Danny Ings. Attitude, desire, motivation, movement. I love what I love about that. There's never any fancy stuff. There's never any foot step overs it's just one touch, hit, bang. I love that about Danny Ings.
Yeah.
And what I think a massive part of it, we got to give credit to is Ward-Prowse. I think if he was playing for a bigger club, he'd be Beckham all over again. People would be hailing him as an. But let's be honest, his set pieces are absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
He's a captain. He's a leader. He just never stops running. I'm amazed that he hasn't found his way to a top 4 club before now. And I've said in previous episodes, if Gini Ronaldo leaves, even if he doesn't, looks like we need to buy a midfielder or two because Keita is always good. I would love Ward-Prowse at Liverpool. Absolutely love him at Liverpool.
So do you think Southampton can keep it up for a whole season?
I asked you this earlier. Why can't West Ham and Southampton keep it? And there is the answer to that question, Ali, is there is no reason why they can't keep it going for the rest of the season. They don't do what Manchester United and Man City did the other day and play out crap, unambitious draws. They've got to take their season by the bollocks and play like it every single week. They got no European football. They got the odd cup game. You have a clear run in the most unpredictable Premier League season probably in history, with the whole, being condensed. You'll never have a better chance. West Ham or Southampton will never, ever have a better chance of finishing within the European football places.
I guess the thing is, though, there's other teams that applies to, isn't there? So there's lots of teams of a similar calibre with good players playing for them. So, yes, there's West Ham and Southampton. But, there's also Everton, there's Newcastle, there's Leicester. All of those teams, are on a similar amount of points at the moment, between 19 and 24 points. So they've all got potential to do that, all of them.
The likes of Newcastle and Leeds, they are top, they should be, but unfortunately due to mismanagement are only now recovered. They should be top 6 clubs at the very least, in my opinion, Newcastle and Leeds. Huge clubs, massive clubs, big support. I'm not sure Newcastle have quite enough, to be honest, to get in the top 6. Even in this crazy season, I still don't think they've got enough. Top 8, top 10, yep, definitely. I would say the club at the moment that misses the fans the most is Leeds, because Ellen Road is an unbelievable. It's like a 12th and 13th man, Ellen Road. I think Leeds will be comfortable, but they won't finish in the top 6. I don't think. Maybe 8th, 7th, or 8th. But I'm telling you, the Everton seem to have just fallen complete, and they're picking up injuries as well now. Everton. So I think it's very much Wolves. If Wolves buy a half decent striker in January, why not? But West Ham and Southampton have a chance, a real chance, to take their season by the scruff of the neck. Don't go into your shell. Don't play it safe. Don't play 5 at the back against teams in and around you or in the so-called lower half of the table. Just don't change anything. Look at Sheffield United. Classic example. Last season, brilliant. This season, we'll hold what we've got. We'll stay in the division. We'll be cautious. We'll play 5 at the back against everyone. And they got 1 point.
Yeah,
they got 1 point.
I know you're not really a fan of 5 at the back, but we did play 5 lower team.
Yeah, but you're playing with wing back. That's different. If with the ball, you're playing with 2 bombing on wing backs. Without the ball, yeah, fair enough. But at least you're being ambitious with the ball. You're getting people forward. You're getting Cresswell whipping your balls in, and you got who's your right back?
Can I have a right back when we play wing backs?
Oh, right wing back, you donut twat.
It's a Kufal. He's Czech.
Oh yeah. Full of it. Again, he ended up 1-on-1 with a keeper the other night, or similar, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
he's an excellent.
This will be probably the last season of it being unpredictable. You'll just have, and Spurs will never have a better chance to win the Premier League. And do you know what? I wouldn't begrudge them it. I wouldn't be gutted. I wouldn't be pissed off. They would probably deserve it if they're going to win it. But I would say to West Ham and Southampton, take your season by the scruff of the neck and just don't change anything. Don't change the way you're playing, and you never know. You could end up in the top 6.
Yeah,
definitely.
Arsenal
are still 1-0 down. They're in danger of getting extremely close to the relegation zone. Why can't West Ham and Southampton stay up there? The answer is there is no reason why you can't stay up there, other than belief. If you believe you can do it, you'll do it. If you don't, suddenly go into your shells and play, we'll play an extra holding midfielder, or we'll put another centre back in there. No, just don't change anything. Go for it.
Well, we're already set to defend, so that's our backbone.
But you've got front players.
Southampton's not so much, is it? They're in a very attacking side.
I don't think you're set up to defend. I think you're set up to attack at exactly the right moment.
Yeah, well, that's right. We had 19 shots against Leeds, so take that any day of the week. Any day of the week. So European hangovers. I think you gave me the stat before we came on air, Mark, that none of the teams that were in Europe this week have won this weekend.
Correct. Absolutely no excuse for any of them, I don't think, because we at Liverpool, in my opinion, and I've said it all along, since we didn't do any near enough business in the summer, in my opinion. I just don't think we did. I think we should have sold Origi. We should probably, and I love Shaqiri, he's probably my favourite player at the club, but he's always injured. And we should have bought players that can actually sustain Klopp's way of playing. Like Taki Mamino's fantastic. He had a great game today when he come on. I think long term he'll be a Klopp player. He seems to be able to cope with the physicality of it.
Yeah.
But these clubs moaning about hangovers obviously didn't do enough business, or they're not giving enough youngsters a chance. Curtis. We're going to talk about young English midfielders later, but Curtis Jones was absolutely unbelievable today. Fantastic. Yeah. How do they know they haven't got more Curtis Jones at these big clubs unless you give them a chance?
Yeah.
Phil Foden sat on the bench for the whole of the Manchester derby. Why?
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. I mean, I put him in my fantasy league for a little while, and then I realised there's no point because Guardiola, happy to play him in the Champions League, he's not playing him in the Premier League. He comes on his best, and why? When you are in the Premier League, would you not bring on your most charismatic young player and give him a chance to try and change the game? Or, just start with him because he's that good. I don't get it.
And also, why, and I include Klopp in this, why are managers moaning about this 5 sub rules and they're not even using 3?
Yeah.
They're using Guardiola the other day, he didn't make a single sub.
Yeah.
I don't think he made 3 in the Manchester derby. Klopp very rarely makes 3 unless it's in the 89th minute. But I will say he does give young players a chance. So it's bizarre. If you're going to need 5 subs, you're going to need 3. You've got to make at least 3.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're running out of subs if you're not making 3 subs.
Yeah. Surely the point of wanting 5 subs is that you're going to make 5 subs. You need to make 5 subs to keep players fresh. And so
it's so simple to do. You make 2 of the subs have to be under 21 players, and the rest are normal.
I should say everyone can agree to have 5 subs, but you have to use them all. That'd be awesome.
It's incredible. It's mad. It's like they don't like the fact that the rest of the league have caught them up, and they're trying to think of excuses as to why they've caught them up. And I've got no problem including Klopp in that. Don't get me wrong. I think there should be 5 subs, but you've got to use those 5 subs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you haven't got a leg to stand on.
Yeah. But I will say, so Leicester are still in Europe, aren't they? They've gone through the Europa League, and they.
Oh yeah, they're the only ones that won today.
Yeah, they're winning 3-0 still, and they look very comfortable tonight. To be honest, man of the match for James Maddison. And they look really good tonight. Looks like he's back to his best again. I'd say so. Yeah, one team out of all of them that haven't struggled, but then they're playing on Sunday night. They've had the longest break of everyone, I suppose, recovery time wise.
We are expecting Irish fella coming on. I don't know if he said he was coming on. He said to be on in a minute. He's just on a phone call, so he wants to talk about this as well. He wants to talk about fatigue players planning with the FA and UEFA. So we'll probably we'll get back into it and get his point of view.
Okay, yeah. So all right. So let's move on to our transfer window speculation.
Oh, I love it. Just pay speed. It's a career mode.
So,
I think you should be targeting a striker.
Well,
a kind of mobile, quick, nimble striker, not a big. I don't think you need a Haller type striker. I think you need a Divock Origi. That's what I think you need.
Yeah, take your turn. And we'll give you 25 million, yeah?
You can have, well, no.
So in terms of the club, our number one priority in transfer window is like it was once we'd got right back in the last transfer window. It was also our priority then, and Josh King was Moyes' number one choice. David Sullivan wanted to sign Ben Rama, and we got Ben Rama, and we nearly signed them both on deadline day. And I think we had to put one of those extensions in. The fans were going mental about it. I'm like, as long as it gets across the line, because everyone's looking at stuff on Twitter live now. It doesn't give the club breathing space just to get business done. And fans don't understand the complication of how hard it is to actually sign a player. They think it's like football managers, don't they, where you kind of click, sign in, he's having a medical, it's done. They don't. So much to do in the course of signing the player. So, I think that remains a priority. We were trying to spend a lot of money signing Tarkowski in the summer. I think it was like 40 odd million it went up to. And then we ended up getting Ben Rama, who we were going to spend 25 million on a 2 million season-long loan deal with an obligation to buy at the end, something to do with the blood test that he had. And that's all they wanted to say about that.
I'm surprised you didn't go for Callum Wilson. I'm surprised we didn't go for Callum Wilson from Bournemouth, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that is the kind of forward that Moyes really likes. And I think Josh King equally fits into that category. So I think that's who we'll go for. Apparently he wants to join the club. We messed him around a bit on deadline day, which was silly.
He went back to Man United at one point as well, didn't he? But they had to get Cavani instead.
Yeah, there was talk of United. The guy's a good footballer, and fits our requirements. I think that pretty much be all the business we do. In
Man, we need mate. We need at least one centre back. I would say at least one. I would say we need a striker. I'm happy for us to take a punt on someone from the lower leagues, as long as they're quick and mobile and can actually, make stuff happen.
who do you think?
I would sell. I would sell him. Again,
Who do you think you will sign in those positions?
Oh, well, it depends. If we know Gini Ronaldo's leaving, then I would like us to try and get Calvin Phillips or Ward-Prowse, because I think Klopp would like them as players. They're leaders. They're intense. They're the captains of their team. Ward-Prowse got unbelievable dead ball as well. I just don't know if they'll be available for obviously he's got plans. I don't know. Obviously, there's no rumours at the moment. But striker-wise, I just don't know. I just think we need something a bit different. We need someone to put pressure on. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Jota's done an amazing job, but now he's out for 9 weeks, at least, or 8 or 9 weeks. We need to an actual number 9, like Danny Ings, like we had.
Yeah.
Because my mate Bobby spent more time on the halfway line and amongst the centre backs and the CDMs than he did in the 6-yard box today.
Yeah.
And I get all this. He's got a role. He scored 3 goals in 30 games, at least. I think it might even be more than that games. And I'm not saying he is a wonderful footballer, but we actually need to. We play with so many crosses going in. We need a striker in the box. So, and we need backup. We obviously need numbers. So I don't know. I don't know who we would target, but I would bloody well hope we get at least maybe Harvey Elliott back from Blackburn. Have you seen any clips of him?
No, not
seen
really.
any goals? Fantastic. 17 years old, just turned 17.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Is he starting for Blackburn then? Is he playing every game or?
Played every game. Yeah, he's played. He's scored goals. He's got assists. Mo Salah was very much his mentor.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going really well for him there. But other than that, we need to do business. Whether or not we can, I think maybe there is a few players like Dembele at Barcelona who aren't actually playing that much. Who could maybe a loan here and there. I don't know. Maybe Klopp will pick someone out of Germany or something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, we do need numbers in January. That is for sure.
Klopp's not one for the knee-jerk reaction, is he?
No, but even he said we're going to try and do something in January in a Klopp way as possible. Like he has said, yeah, we're going to have to look at it in January because. I'm gutted, really, because if we had a full squad, we'd probably be out of sight by now, I would say. I think we'd probably win the league quite comfortably. We would. I think we would. If we were as strong as we possibly could be, I think we could, when that winning machine, the consistency and all that, I think we'd be over the hill.
Quite a lot of your squad fit when you lost 7-2 to Aston Villa, though, didn't you? I think there's a deeper issue, and I say an issue, you're not exactly doing terribly at the moment in terms of your league position. So you could still run away with the league this year.
Problem is, 2 defeats and we're down in like 8th or 9th or something. It's so close.
Yeah, I think
so close.
I think frailties, the invincibility started showing when you lost to Watford in February, whenever it was. I think it was February, and then. February? Was it after?
Oh, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Before lockdown, wasn't it? And you suddenly looked really vulnerable in every game. And then lockdown happened and you came back, played well, won the league, and then just turned off, I think, because you all hung over for a few games. It appeared, anyway. All the pressure was off and the points weren't as important anymore because you already won. But I don't think, as a club, we fully recovered that invincibility from that point after that Watford game. And I think
Arsenal
just injuries.
Arsenal have lost.
Oh, pray for Arsenal.
Where are they? They're like 17th or something, aren't they now? 16th?
Started quite low down today.
Way down, aren't they?
Going into the Matrix, have a look. I mean, we need to get some Arsenal fans on in the coming weeks. See what they've got to say about it.
No, it's Arsenal fan TV will be good tonight. Give it ease, bro. Sick, isn't it?
So Arsenal are 15th.
Wow.
On
Leicester up to third.
30 points. But yeah, the only reason they haven't gone down any further is because Brighton are 2 points behind them, and they just lost to Leicester, and then it's Fulham. So 5 points ahead of Fulham. I mean, they're 7 points ahead of the drop zone. They're not. I don't think they go down. Yeah.
At which point
they're not going to win.
Start making the pressure on Arteta?
Yeah. I mean, it's the nature of the performances, isn't it, that's concerning for Arsenal.
It does not help with players choke slamming opponents to the ground. It does not help with that.
I think when Xhaka's worked so hard on his redemption from everything he went through with the fans last season, to now do that, I mean, he's going to be lost again, isn't he? And the Arteta's going to have to deal with that, and could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Could be. I mean, what's going on with Arsenal? When Arteta first came in, they looked good. When Aubameyang was excellent last season, wasn't he? 2 seasons in a row that he was brilliant, signed a new contract, and he looks lost now, doesn't he?
Arsenal's next 3 games are Southampton, Everton, and Chelsea. Oh dear me!
Yeah,
imagine if they went down.
Sucks to be a good.
Lost their first 4 consecutive home games since 1959.
Wow. Yeah, it's got to put pressure on the manager, definitely. Definitely. I mean, because it's a thing of, they call him a mini pet, didn't they? But that doesn't always work. Being, the mentee to, a great successful manager, and then you go and do it yourself, doesn't mean you're going to have the gravitas and the leadership qualities of that person. So. And we said right at the start of the season, didn't we, when we first started doing this podcast, that it remained to be seen. Arteta still had a lot to prove. And
it's absolutely mad that Sheffield United have got 1 point and they're only 8 points on safety.
Yeah.
Incredible. They are 10 points off 10th, and they got 1 point. That's nothing really if you won the whole season. Sheffield United.
No,
there is 7 points between the top 10. 7 points.
I think the thing is, it feels strange this season, doesn't it? Because we'd be nearly halfway through the season by now normally, and we're not. We're 12 games in out of 38 seasons. We're thirds of the way through the season yet. So it does seem a bit like, it's so squeezed together in that. But I think in the next, when we look at all of this, kind of in the 1st of January, when we've crammed all those games in over a few weeks, it's going to look a bit different by then. I think you'll start to see that stretch. There'll be a couple of teams pulling away at the top, and the middle will still be the same. But the middle was quite compact last year as well, wasn't it? There was a lot of teams close together in the middle last year. But teams down the bottom, it's hard to see West Brom and Sheffield United not going down the season at this stage, isn't it? Because they can't defend. Minus 16 goal difference off 12 games, both of them.
Carry on. I can hear you. I'm just changing my channel to NFL.
Oh, he's putting the American football on.
I love it.
All right. As we've had no guests on tonight, we've got young midfielders you want to talk about. You want to talk about Curtis Jones, didn't you?
I do, because I thought tonight he was absolutely outstanding. that goal he could have scored where he just took. He was, and I said to you before we came on air, Coutinho spent a lot of time with him in the academy when Curtis Jones. You can just see the way he drops his shoulder and accelerates from people. It's exactly like Coutinho. He was just outstanding today. Amongst all the mediocrity, he was. He didn't misplace many passes. He looked for. I love about Curtis Jones, a bit like Mason Mount. He always looks forward. Very rarely does he deliberately look back and pass. He always tries to make things happen. Yeah, I'll put him in the same bracket as Declan Rice for young English midfielders coming through.
Yeah.
He's only 18, 19, Curtis Jones.
He's very, very composed on the ball, isn't he? And not afraid, as that run showed today. Often when you see young players, they kind of gets into the box and like, I don't know what to do. I'm surrounded by pros. And
you put your foot through it.
Yeah,
exactly like it is.
And it was a decent enough shot. It wasn't a worldie, but what you'd be saying is your expectation there is he needs to hit the target, and he hit the target.
Well, it's not just Curtis Jones. It's Mason Mount. It's Bowen. England have some absolutely outstandingly talented young footballers coming through at the moment in every position, pretty much every position, apart from left back. We're a bit short on left backs, but we've got Chilwell and Shaw. Let's be honest, Shaw is actually not the worst left back in the world if he's actually played at left back and not centre back in their biggest game of the season. But Chilwell and Shaw, that'll be fine for England. I've got no problem with that. And you got Cresswell's got. No, is Cresswell English?
He's English. He's a Scouser.
Exactly. So he's a talented boy. So maybe we have got a couple of left backs out there, but there seems to be, and it's really, really good. There seems to be a fearless, confident, give me the ball kind of attitude generation of young English midfielders coming through at the moment, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I love seeing young players with the attitude of give me the ball.
Yeah.
Let me do something. A bit like
last week when we had Gaz on about young footballers and how the creativity is allowed to remain these days, whereas maybe in the past it wasn't. And you see that in these kids that are coming through now, that they're encouraged to be creative footballers, that is being fostered and developed at youth level, so that when they're hitting the Premier League, they're getting into, because the criticism, even 3 or 4 years ago, were that these young lads weren't getting into Premier League teams because they were English, and so their value wasn't as high. Now they are, and the Premier League has kind of seen what's happening. Premier League teams have been like, well, actually, I can buy this player for 10 million, 15 million, rather than go and buying someone abroad for 45 million that might not acclimatise to English culture, dreary rain and wet pitches and all of that, and to get an absolute steal, because these young English kids have got as much creativity now, and you really are starting to see that, where they're not just fast or gregarious like a Rooney, something. They're genuinely skillful players, and they're improving all the time. And it's exciting, if you didn't know Mason Mount was English, you probably think he was Spanish the way he plays football. He's so exciting, swashbuckling going forward, isn't he?
He's just a very. I like Mount. Obviously, Curtis Jones. You've got so many. I even like the lad at Bournemouth, Brooks. Is it?
Yeah, David Brooks.
There's a lad at. I just watched a little bit there for Burnley, O'Neill. I don't know if he's English or not. I think he's English.
Sounds like
he always impresses me. He always impresses me. Whenever I see him play, he always impresses me.
You got your Phil.
My next question is Gareth Southgate the right manager to bring these lads through?
Has. So I think, is he the right manager for bringing you through? Absolutely, because he's consistently done it since he's been England manager. Whether he always gets his tactics right is another story, I think.
But is he the manager to take them? Okay, he's brought them through.
Yeah.
But this could be, and we all gone about Gerrard and Scholes and Lampard and Ferdinand. This could actually be the best generation of footballers we've had in many, 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 many years. You're Reece James at right back with Trent, Carl Walker at right back with those three. The lad at Brighton, what's the Lamperty at Brighton?
Yeah,
got so many players coming through for England at the moment. Is the England setup strong enough to help them get to that next level internationally? I don't think it is. I think we need a world-class manager who's been there and done it to guide these young players. I'm not saying maybe Southgate could be head. I think he'd be an ideal person to be actually head of the FA. They're looking for a managing director.
What do you mean when you say been there and done it?
Well, a successful manager who's won titles and been successful on the international stage.
How do you define success on the international stage?
Winning things.
So winning World Cups. So to win the World,
yeah.
So we should have a manager that has won the World Cup managing England.
If you want to win things, then your team off the pitch has got to be stronger than your team on.
Yeah, it's just it narrows it down to a few managers that way, doesn't it?
Yes.
Whereas
if you want to be the best, you've got to have the best.
I'd argue that Southgate has already got England to a poor-ish England squad. It's the semi-finals of the World Cup, which is their best performance in a generation, and 4 years early to the plan that he's been part of for quite a while. So for me, I understand the frustration in his tactics at the moment, but his faith in youth and nurturing youth is obvious. And I think we need to, for the sake of continuity, give him another World Cup. If that goes tits up, sure, absolutely fine. Off you go, Southgate. Thanks for all your hard work. But to not another World Cup after the journey that he's been on with these players over 16 years is.
Well, hang on a minute. Do these players even respect him? Do they even respect him?
Yeah, they do. They do.
You reckon they do?
Yeah.
They don't reckon they take him for granted and get all these models to their hotel rooms and go out and break COVID rules?
No.
You think they respect him?
I don't think it's set up like that anymore. Where the coach is expected to be managing the behaviours and so on and so forth of individual players. There's so much mollycoddling surrounding professional footballers now that there's degrees of separation. The international setups have more people in them than they did in our day. Back when we were international footballers, Mark, those halcyon days.
Kimberley Park.
Oh,
yeah, I remember that.
The wand.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so I don't think it's necessarily a respect issue about Southgate, because they know that if they get caught doing something, they'll likely get dropped and not play, and that's punishment enough, and then go back to their clubs and be mocked and so on and so forth. I think the point is that shouldn't have that much of a bearing on what's going on the pitch anyway. Because you've got many successful teams that all went out on the lash beforehand. I mean, not in Forest, for God's sake, won leagues and European Cups, hungover. So
you got Rashford, you got Greenwood coming through, you've got Curtis Jones, Mason Mount, you've got endless supply. Finally, we've waited a long time, but finally we've got a conveyor belt coming through of young English talent. And I just want us to grasp it, nurture it, and I want someone in charge of their development at AFA who's been there and done it and won things to say this is what you need to do to win major championships. I'm not saying Southgate he's an admirable bloke, he's a nice bloke, but is he too nice? Is he going to teach these footballers how to win at all costs? Is he going to teach them the dark arts of winning football matches that every great team has? Every great team has a way to win. And I'm not sure Southgate playing 5 at home to Denmark in a must-win Nation League game and then taken off and when someone got sent off, he replaces another defender with I'm not sure that sends out the right message.
If England win the World Cup, will you remember the Nations League loss to Denmark when we played?
It wasn't just that, mate. We messed up the next game as well, didn't we? Playing 5 at the back away in somewhere else.
Yeah.
We were not going to...
There's been a couple of games, or more than a couple, during the last couple of years where England haven't been great. But there's two things that are levelled at England traditionally, like over the period of time, that in my opinion anyway, and that they don't get challenged enough during the qualifying periods, and then they turn up and then they get found out against big teams. So what the Nations League has given us a chance to do is play against bigger teams than we get in our qualifying pools and try out different things. I couldn't care less if we win the Nations League or not, because I want us to win the European Cup or the European Cup. You don't want to mean Euro, whatever year it is, and the World Cup. They're the two for me that are really important. Nice, they're nice to have the Nations League, but certainly can it be used to experiment? Does it matter so much if Premier League teams were exerting influence over the availability of their players during those games? Not really. It's only Nations League. Yeah, I can't get as passionate about it as those other two. And we shouldn't need to win the Nations League to qualify for one of the cups. We should just be qualifying for those anyway. So it's given us another route of how we can play against other teams. And in amongst losing to Denmark and stuff, we've had some good wins in the last couple of years as well against teams that we traditionally lose against. So it's worth. We're quick to forget the good results and quick to remember the bad ones, I think. And I think overall, Southgate's a very good record as England manager so far, when it's mattered in competitive games, and he just deserves that chance to carry on. I think that's my view.
I just think our players are set up to play 4-3-3 all day long. It should, in my opinion, it should be. I don't trust Pickford. I think it should be Henderson. Or Pope, no, Pope. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I think Pope's outstanding. Right back, I would probably have, depending on who you're playing against, Wan Bissaka or Trent. Centre back, I would have. Oh, Christ. Have to be Maguire because he's the only. Oh. And do you know what? I'd have the lad at, what's his name? Toski. I'd have him at centre back with Maguire. Left back, I'd have obviously Chilwell. I'd have Rice, Henderson, and Mount ahead of those two in a little diamondy type formation. And then I'd have obviously Sancho, Kane, and Sterling as a front three. I don't think there's any need at all to have five at the back with this squad. I just think we've got. Then you got Greenwood, and then you got Rashford, and then you got a whole host of others who are impact off the bench, and Danny Ings, and you could even have Danny Ings, Rashford, and Greenwood as a front three. So,
yeah,
I just don't think there's any need for England, if we want to be one of the best teams in the world, to have at any stage to have 8 defensive players on the pitch like we did.
Well, I think the thing we're lacking in all of that right now is a proper number 9. So Kane.
That would be Danny Ings.
So, there is Danny Ings, and that's it, who's unproven at international level. So if we can say with the manager that we need someone that's been there and done it, we need that with our team as well. Or we need them to develop over time.
I don't know. I think Harry Kane's a pretty tidy number 9, to be honest with you. But his game's changed now. He's more of a
But that's my point. He's going deeper. So if he's going deeper, who's your fox in the box type thing that he could do in the past. So, and that's going all right for England, because you played Harry Kane's strengths. For me, he's probably the first or second name on the team sheet should be Harry Kane for England, because he's proven that he can do what he can do. He wins a lot of penalties. comes in handy at international level, where you're playing sometimes some more naive players that will fall for his tricks. So I wrote mine down as you were writing yours. So I'd go for Henderson. Back 4, same as yours. So I was writing down Maguire as you said it, thinking you weren't going to say Maguire.
I was thinking, shit, think of someone else. I couldn't because Gomez is injured. God damn it.
The only thing that by the time we get to a tournament, it's going to be a toss-up for me between Reece James and Trent, because Reece James is just coming on so quickly. I mean, I
was thinking Reece James. I just thought if you're up against a Brazil or a Spain where you've got real good one-on-one dribblers, I would probably, and this is even a Liverpool fan speaking, I would probably pick Wan Bissaka over Trent. purely for his one-on-one. But if you're playing against a team who's not particularly strong, I'd pick Trent all day long.
I think Trent's better not at the moment because he's obviously lacking a bit of match fitness. But as a professional, once he's at full speed again, he's better than Reece James. But will Reece James be better than him by the time of the next World Cup? Possibly, because he's an absolute beast of a player. I mean, he's hard as nails. He's brilliant on the tackle, and he's great going forward as well. He's going to score some goals. But you can say that about Trent as well. That Trent is fast. He's very, very good defensively, but good offensively as well.
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't bet against Trent moving inside into midfield at some point. He moved central today. Actually, it looked very good. He was a midfielder in the under 18s and all that.
Yeah, I can see that because he's versatile and he's a baller. And that's important. That all four defenders have to be ballers if you're going to win a World Cup. You can't have that old style of England defender.
But Reece James, you're right. Reece James is outstanding. Kyle Walker at the moment is actually the only thing he's really got going. Martin Tyler is one of the few times I agreed with him. Said that's great. He can run sideways and backwards really fast, but these young right backs coming through can do it all.
Yeah.
They've got an end product. Yeah. They've got footballing nous. Whereas Kyle Walker, at times, is breathtaking with his recovery tackles and clearances off the line. And I'm not knocking that. But as an all-round right backs, you've got at least four, including a lad at Brighton, who can do it all.
Yeah. Kyle Walker's also got a mistake in him, hasn't he?
Yeah, like he did against United. And he kicked that's a stupid tackle. But it's a very exciting time to be an England football fan. My point is, I'm worried we haven't got the team off the pitch to make sure this generation really, really hits its height of its potential, because it could be a very, very special generation of players coming through. And this new rule of no signing under 18s from Europe is going to be the best thing for the English team. It really is going to be a phenomenal thing for the England team. It's going to be brilliant. I'm not saying I agree with it. I think outstanding young talent should be allowed in. If they are literally, 70 or 80 caps for the under 18s of a certain country, if they are the talisman, if they are the gold standard, I think they should be allowed in. But there's going to be no more cheap rubbish, and from anywhere in the world, including that is blocking our talent coming through now.
Yeah,
and that's brilliant, outstanding. But we could just do a few more left backs. A couple more left backs coming through would be ideal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just play the righters on the left. They're all cutting these days, aren't they?
They do.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd say about your 11 is can hit and miss on the international stage, so misses some sitters, flats to deceive a bit.
Rashford out there, no problem. Have Rashford on the right, on the left, no problem.
Same about Rashford, although he's done all right for England so far, hasn't he?
Greenwood looks an exceptional talent.
Yeah,
he does look exceptional, and I hate to say it, but he does look an exceptional.
I think he needs a couple of years, though. He can.
Yeah,
he can go missing. His in-game decision making isn't 100% yet, but then who's is at his age? He's a raw talent, that's for sure.
I'm quite happy about him because all our players are injured, so it's only Henderson at the moment. I think that can get called up for England. Well, I think Curtis Jones might be, but literally England games now I can watch and relax because I know it's only one of our players that's on duty.
Well, you say that with a high degree of confidence, but I think it's still 2.5 months till the next England game, so your players will have enough time to recover from their injuries, be available for England, and then get injured.
Virgil's out for the rest of the season. Gomez is out for the rest of the season.
I think Virgil's any longer eligible to play for England since he became a Dutch international.
Shut up, you absolutely. God, I tell you what, you don't have fucking Mr. Sarcasm over there. You say players in general. I don't mean England players. Oh. We almost got banned from Podbean then for my response, but I had to bite my tongue. Let's talk about Scotland, Ali. Oh, let's not. I know you're saying we. You're Scottish.
Well, you're Cornish. I mean, you've been striving for independence for the last God knows how many past years. Ooh.
Oh, nasty. What other subjects you got, Al?
I haven't got any more for tonight, young man, so we can wrap up a bit early if you like.
All right, who's going to win the Champions League?
Who's going to win? Well, as you asked that question last week, I will answer the same.
Now the group stages are over.
Yes.
Come on.
Bayern
Who's going to win the
Munich.
Champions League? Yeah, I can't really see anyone challenging them at all, to be honest. Maybe Juventus, where they click, but
I think
I can't see anyone.
It'd be nice if, you know, someone else from another country knocks them out by accident and then
I'm so sorry. I just put that in your net.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I put that in your net. What was I thinking? Sorry.
Apologies, old chap. Didn't mean to do Fritz. Yeah.
LMAO.
That kind of thing. And then, you know, we just handed an all-English final. That'd be great. Look forward to that. Nice to see how, you know, you mentioned Scottish football a minute ago and laughed at me briefly for my affiliation. Great to see Rangers doing so well in the Europa League.
Steven Gerrard, mate.
Yeah.
It's our Stevie G,
Super Stevie G. So, you know, I'm always full of Rangers because it's kind of been in my family. My grandpa was very close to the club. So when I was a kid, I used to get taken out to the stadium and all that stuff, meet the players and all of that. So I'm always full of Rangers. And you know, during the glory years, it was great. And then fourth tier of football was quite interesting. And this was the season that if Rangers don't win the league this year and Celtic do, Celtic would have won it 10 times in a row, which would be a new record. So Rangers are very keen to not let that happen. And it's just come at a time that Steve has put a team together that are playing so well and just winning game after game after game. And great run, a bit naive in Europe. I think Benfica home and away, winning games comfortably and then drawing them as they capitulated at the last minute was a bit embarrassing, but still didn't lose them. So, you know, going away to Benfica and coming home with a result. This is a team that was in the Scottish League 2, Scottish League 3, you know, 9 years ago. It's a nice little story, and they're doing well. They've got some great players coming through, and some, you know, Kent that came from Liverpool, Brian Kent.
Cracking little play. You had a Jarvia. What's his name? He's at Reading now. A Jarvia, is that his name? Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about Brian Kent and Rangers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Rangers had another midfielder from Liverpool for about half the season called a Jarvia.
Never heard of him.
Some of that. That was quality. Yeah, he had a good. He moved home to his home city.
Oh, I see. So Kent's a bit of James Tavernier's having a great season, just assist after assist after assist. Goals coming from all over the pitch. And crucially, Celtic are dropping points as well, a fair bit. So, you know, Rangers are stretching away a little. I think it's 13.
I don't understand why Liverpool haven't sent more of our young players up to Stevie, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's an intensity in the Premier League that obviously it's a lot more open, and the skill level's not quite as high. But you know, in terms of intensity, it's very similar to the Premier League.
Okay, how far behind is the third place team in Scotland now?
Well, bearing in mind the third place team isn't, so Celtic aren't second at the moment.
Are they not? Bloody hell. Aberdeen are always up there, but they never really come close, do they? Hearts seem to do stuff occasionally, but
I know they are second, but only by 2 points. So Rangers are first with 47 points. Celtic are second on 34. Then you've got Hibs on 32 and Aberdeen on 31. So actually, Rangers running away with it at the moment, although Celtic have a couple of games in hand. If Celtic won the 2 games in hand, they'd be 7 points behind Rangers.
Yeah.
But Celtic's last 5 games, draw, win, draw, win. This is a team that, you know, a couple of seasons ago nearly went through a season unbeaten domestically.
Mate, you know what's the best thing for Scottish football if Celtic and Rangers came back to earth? Because it might be worth watching, but it's just not, in my opinion, I've never watched it, Scottish League, because it's just 2 clubs battling out for first and second. more often than not.
I think it became that. I remember, because I'm a bit older than you, young Mark. I remember Aberdeen winning it. I remember Dundee United being really competitive and up there. I remember those two teams, as well as Rangers and Celtic, competing competitively in Europe, winning Cup Winners' Cups and UEFA Cups and stuff.
In my opinion, neither would get out the Championship.
Sorry?
In my opinion.
Pardon?
Neither would get out the Championship.
No, I don't think that's true. I think they'd both do fine in the Premier League because because they're big clubs. They're both really big clubs, and if they're in the Premier League, they'd have the revenue of Premier League clubs, so they'd have better players than they've got. So, say for example, there was talk of it in the past, wasn't there, about Celtic and Rangers joining the Premier League, and everyone said, "Well, look at their players, blah blah blah." But that's not the players they'd have if they're in the Premier League because they'd have that £100 million that every team that comes up gets. At the moment, they get the TV money in Scotland so much less, but that wouldn't be the case if they're in the Premier League. So they'd have more money to spend on players. I mean, they fill up their ground every week. I think it'd be very different.
I just see every game they would have in the Premier League would be at least one level up, if not two levels up of what they're used to. I just don't think they would. They wouldn't do a Sheffield United, obviously, but I honestly think they would go straight down. I don't think Rangers and Celtic.
Rangers have just come through a qualifying group in the Europa League, unbeaten against Benfica, Standard Liège, Prague. They're not muggy teams. They teams that finish like first or second in their domestic leagues. Maybe not quite. I wouldn't imagine, say, West Brom doing that well.
There's not that many foreign players in Scotland, right?
No.
So why aren't
there is? Huh? There is.
There is.
Yeah.
So what I don't get is why aren't the Scottish clubs producing more young Scottish talent?
Oh, well, I think they are. Scotland's doing all right at the moment, producing talent. We produce it, and then the money of the Premier League snaps it up.
Who's been snapped up recently? Young Scottish.
So looking at young Scottish talent in the Premier League right now.
Oh, you also got Gilmour at Chelsea.
Yeah, so Gilmour's a massive example of that, isn't he?
Great little player.
You've got. I've got friend Neil was a Chelsea fan, and he was like, "Why did Rangers let Gilmour go?" I was like, "Well, money talks, doesn't it?" And we've probably got someone back in return.
Fraser at Newcastle is a very tidy player.
Andy McTominay at United.
McTominay.
There's plenty of talent comes through, but just bearing in mind that Scotland is a much smaller country than England, population 6 million. That I think at the moment we're producing a decent amount of talent. We've got an okay national team that are playing. The national team at the moment is a bit like that Wales team at Euro 16.
It's both islands I fear for. Both islands I fear for. I think they're very poor at the moment.
Yeah,
very, very poor. Really poor. Wales are getting a few youngsters through now, but both islands look very, very poor at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I can't see any of them doing anything at the moment. And I think that was probably a big part of Declan Rice's decision to play for England rather than Ireland were the cases.
Yeah, and mind you could argue if Ireland got Rice and Grealish, they'd be a different team, and they probably would. So they could probably say, well, it doesn't help when lads who are qualified to play for us choose to play for a country who has loads of young players coming through. You know.
Yeah, you're gonna select in that instance. I mean, you're gonna select a country that fits your level of your own personal ambition, aren't you? So they're both exceptional players with the right to play for both countries. Both grew up in England, both born in England.
But Ireland could just, Ireland could say, "No, well, yeah, we may be poor, but it's not like we're trying. It's like we're trying to get these lads who could play for us." Because let's face it, Grealish would be the main man for Ireland. He'd start every game for Ireland, and with the Declan Rice as well. I mean, he could have made a massive difference to it. Irish fans are the best in the world. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, it's Grealish that we missed off our England starting 11 as well.
Exactly. You've got Grealish as well. Maybe you could have Grealish. Probably. Do you know what? On current form, I would put Grealish over Mount in midfield.
Yeah, I put him over Sterling. I put him over Sterling on the front three, I think.
Ooh.
Sorry, Raheem.
That's out.
Just back on the bench you go.
Raheem. I don't know if we've got anything else. Have we got anything else? I'm not sure.
Young man.
We'll try and get some guests on next week, but this will just go on Podbean. I don't think I'll bother putting this one on YouTube as such. The last episode's still on there. It's really good. But I will just share the Podbean this week, seeing as there's only us two.
If you like, yeah. All right, well, in that case, thank you everyone for listening on Podbean.
I can do this because no one's going to see it.
Unless they watch it on Get Vocal, which they can do, can't they?
They can, yeah. You can watch it back on Get Vocal. Yeah.
So if you're watching it back here, check out my Christmas jumper.
Yay!
Yeah. So thanks very much for listening tonight. We've been Mark and Annie, the Football Gurus, and we'll be back on the same time next Sunday. So thanks for listening and stay safe. Bye.
Here's y'all. Oh shit! Let's stop the podcast. I'm so good at this.